So now that the recording has started, good morning, everybody, and welcome to this SYNNEX Time to Recap session on VMware. It's not the first time we're organizing it. We're organizing this on a regular basis to update the channel on all changes that are going on since the Broadcom acquisition of VMware. Next slide, please, Ruben. I'm Hornit. I'm not here alone. I have the support of two people from Broadcom, Camilla Tam and Bogdan Sava. They are both partner account director based in Prague, and they will help me with all the questions that you might have during the session. So after each topic or after each chapter, we will have a look in the Q&A box. So please put your questions in the Q&A box and not in the chat box, and we will see if we can answer them or by text or by answering them live in this session. Next slide, please. Some house rules, as always. Everybody will stay muted except for the hosts. And as I already mentioned, please put your questions in the Q&A box. And of course, we also have a very nice disclaimer, meaning that everything that is said here is for partners only. So please make sure that not all information that is shared here can be shared with your end customers. And then, of course, as you know, it's an evolving world. So something that's in here today might change in the near future, maybe even tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. Next. So we have a packed agenda. We only have 1 hour. So we'll see. We'll try to do our best to answer all our questions. I will emphasize on that. We have a short introduction. Then, of course, the changes in the Advantage Partner Program, some information on the VMware Achievers Program, some ins and outs on the deal registrations, a small update on the solution bundles with Enterprise Plus that has joined the solution bundles, a few slides on education and certifications, and new dashboards that are coming or are already there in Partner Portal. Yes. Yeah. Just some numbers to begin with. I think it's clear since the acquisition of Broadcom, of VMware by Broadcom, it would be strange the other way around, that the market has been evolving. If you look at the ecosystem that we're in today, there are approximately 14,500 partners today. Just to give you an idea, you'll know that after the acquisition, all existing partner contracts were terminated. 19,000 of those partners got re-invited into the program. Today, only 14,500 did accept or rejoined the program. Just to give you an idea on Benelux scale, in Benelux region, so Belgium and Luxembourg, today there are around 150 VMware by Broadcom partners. There are also a huge amount of new partner requests, around 4,000 new partner requests. Maybe an important thing here is that it's not everyone gets accepted. So Broadcom is really looking for those partners that bring added value to the market, meaning that or in operational excellence or in execution or in potential pipeline that they have in the VMware business, a decision will be made if a new partner can join the program or not. We had the number of requests here in Belgium. Unfortunately, those are typically more smaller partners, so most of them did not get the ability to rejoin or to join the partner program. Around 31,000 deal registrations, 300 nights were invited. I've got a slide on that later on to discuss what it's about. More than 5,000 strategic engagement requests. And just to put the numbers in perspective, these are worldwide numbers, of course. These are old worldwide numbers. What is a strategic engagement request? Probably you all know that. If you are transacting with a strategic end customer, you need to fill in a strategic engagement request so that you're able to transact with them. So it's a form, an online form that you can find on Partner Portal that you must complete before you transact with a strategic partner. More than 750 not for resale licenses and 102,000 certifications achieved. So also some more information on that later on in the slide deck. Next slide, please, Ruben. I think it's clear that the organization has gone through some major changes, not only the organization, but also the focus that Broadcom is putting on the channel, on the market. If you see at, for example, when we started with Broadcom in 2024 or end of 2023, we had more than thousands and thousands of SKUs. So they did a simplification there with a focus on VCF and reduced the number of SKUs to 4 main bundles. I think we all know that. And in 2024, the focus was really on getting those people back on board, on migrating from perpetual licenses to the subscription-based licenses. And also we noticed that to ease the pain, if I can put it like that, there were some heavily discounted actions as well to get end customers back on board. If you now look at 2025, the focus will be a little bit different. I think most of you already noticed that the prices that you get today are typically not that discounted as you might been used to in the past. Even today, we are quoting on MSRP prices. So the focus is really on adding that value and making more money by adding value by you as a partner, as a reseller. There's also a great shift from the upfront net margin model, so the discount you had in the past, while we're currently shifting to the hybrid model, but some more information on that later as well. And today we still have some customers, some end customers that are still running on perpetual licenses, and that needs to be migrated to subscription-based licenses. But of course, the focus will also be on renewal of the existing subscription licenses, and the expansion of those subscription-based licenses can be more coarse, but also and preferably moving all the way up to the VCF platform, because that's the real focus of Broadcom, get everybody on board on that VCF platform. Next slide, please, Ruben. If you look at the Advantage Partner Program, there are some new things that are coming in 2025 or that are already there. Like, for example, the Achievers Program that I already mentioned, some new functionality in the Partner Central and the different dashboards that are coming. The solution provider redesign that was launched on February the 3rd. So there is a lot of new functionality and new stuff coming within or is already there that is still need to be put in place or it's already in place. Yes. I see we have one Q&A. I will take that one. So the question is this also applicable for white label partners? So white label partners are typically partners in the CSP program, so in the cloud service provider program. The slide deck today is mainly focusing on the resell program, so on the reselling of licenses of the subscription-based licenses. In the CSP program, you have Pinnacle and Premier partners that are allowed to transact with their CCM, like, for example, TD SYNNEX. And then you have like the registered partners that need to transact through a Premier or a Pinnacle partner. So not quite sure if that answers your questions. If not, please elaborate in the Q&A box. Okay, Advantage Partner Program changes. Next slide. So I think it's all clear that we are currently in a transformation phase, in an ongoing transformation phase, and there are a lot of things going on. For example, with program progression, how can you progress into the different levels of the partner program, going, for example, from register to select, or from select to Premier, or from Premier to Pinnacle? It's based on a point-based model. A point-based model that's, for one thing, based on, for example, the revenue that you're doing, and on the other hand, based on certifications and qualifications within the company. There are also some changes in benefits. As I already mentioned, we are moving to a hybrid-based revenue model or a hybrid-based margin model. We have some more information on that later as well. The certification track has also changed. So there's a lot of things going on. And Of course, to keep a certain partner level or to grow in a partner level, you need to have a certain amount of points, and those will be, there will be a first measurement in August of this year, a first progression window, and a second progression window in November of this year as well, to see if the requirements have been met or not. Next slide. So what are the changes in Q2 for fiscal year 25? So as you all know, the fiscal year of Broadcom started last year in November, if I'm not mistaken. So there are a lot of changes that happened then, and there's again some changes that are coming on now. There are some things that are terminated, like for example, the market development funds, the funded head program. I don't think it really is applicable here in the Benelux market. There has already mentioned the changes in how a partner can progress in the different levels. So they reinitiated the point-based leveling program. There's the Achievers program where we're going to touch on. And of course, I think most important and something that we've all been waiting for is more insight in what's going on. So there are a lot of dashboards that will be coming within the next few weeks or that are already there. Dashboards that will give you an insight in, for example, renewal of licenses, in the certification statistics of your company, the program leveling, so how many points do I still need to achieve before I can progress to another level. Also for those eligible partners that are in the Achievers program, the Achievers payout dashboard, where you can see how much money you will get by the deferred margin model, and so on and so on. Next, Ruben. So if you look at the different partner levels, from registered all the way up to Pinnacle, yeah, you can click twice, yeah. And the advantages you have, and I also put on the right side the number of partners there are in the Benelux region. Then you see that we have, of course, a very large base. The registered partners, more than 100 registered partners. And we call the registered partners the partners that are allowed to transact. Those are those resellers that can buy and sell VMware licenses. If you're not a VMware partner, it was the case before as well. If you're not a registered partner, at least then you're not allowed to sell VMware licenses. It's as simple as that. If you move to the next level, to the Select program, of course, you can still transact, but you have the advantage of deal registrations. So you can, through the partner portal, create a deal registration where you can have an additional 10% discount on your SKU price. And you have the ability to get not for resale licenses, NFR licenses. For Premier and Pinnacle partners, the most important things is the deferred margin model, the hybrid margin model, and the activity-based claims. More on that later. And for Pinnacle, there is a higher payout in the deferred margin model. Next, please, Ruben. So if you look at the program leveling from registered all the way up to Pinnacle and the requirements, as I already said, registered partners are those partners that are allowed to transact. It's a simple click-through agreement, so it doesn't really require anything else except that. If you go from registered to Select to Premier and Pinnacle, then there are, of course, a number of requirements that need to be fulfilled. For example, for a Select partner, you need 70 performance points. Performance points are based on licenses that you sell, on revenue. And you need 30 capability points, and 30 capability points can be training and certifications. I have a slide on that explaining that more in detail. And you also need to have some proven professionals, like, for example, in sales, you need one proven professional and one certified expert. Just to give you the other example from the Pinnacle perspective, if you look at the Pinnacle Partner Program, you see that there's a huge difference in points requirement. You were talking about 700 performance points, so 10 times as much as in the Select program, and 300 capability points, also 10 times as much as in the Select program. You need to have an annual business plan. You need to have dedicated resources. And if you look at the number of sales and technical trained and certified people, then you probably realize it's not for every partner able to do it. Not every partner is able to do that. Next slide, Ruben. So if you look at the points requirements, and yeah, one of the phrases I always say, it's not set in stone yet. You see the little red remark on the top right corner. Also, it's subject to change, so it's definitely not set in stone yet. So if you look at how the points are calculated, you have the performance points being revenue based on annual billed value. So that's the amount of money that is charged by Broadcom to the distributors, to us. So it's not the amount that you are paying, because Broadcom has no insight or detail in that. It's based on the annual billed value from Broadcom to the distributor. And 1 point equals approximately $5,000 in VCF, Tanzu, INS, and so on. So if you remember, for a select partner, you need 70 points. You multiply that by 5,000, and you have an idea on the amount of revenue you need to do on an annual basis. Same for capability points, based on services that you provide, or capabilities. Capabilities, those are the certified or the proven professional people. You need, for example, for the select program, 30 points. So you can see how it's calculated, how you can obtain that number. Now, there's also an accelerator. If you look at the purple column on the right, there's an accelerator depending on the zone that you're in. And depending on the zone that you're in, there's an accelerator of 1 all the way up to 3. Meaning that, for example, if you look at the performance points, and I think the next slide puts a little bit more detail onto that. So for example, you have the accelerator zones. So Belgium is in zone 3, meaning that for booking services and enablement, there's an accelerator of 2. So actually 1 point does not equal 5,000 USDs, but 1 point equals 2,500 USDs. No, other way around. It's the other way around. Sorry, my apologies. So it's at 1 point per 10,000 USDs. On the other hand, Luxembourg is in zone 4. So there, for services and for enablement, you have an accelerator of 3. So it's easier for a Luxembourg-based company to achieve those today. And as an example, if you go to the next slide, Ruben, I've just made this small calculation based on the accelerator for the Belgium region, and only for the revenue based, so don't look at the capability points. For a select partner, that would approximately arrive at $175,000 in annual billed value that you need to have to get that 30 performance points. Next slide. Some nitty-gritty details. The VCF in performance point does not mean it's limited to the VMware Cloud Foundation product bundle. So it's actually all bundles that are part of the different bundles offering. As I already mentioned, performance points are based on annual billed value. And as you might be aware, especially the capability points, it's rather complicated to calculate it yourself. You can try, but with the accelerators and stuff, best is, of course, to go to the partner program dashboard that will give you an insight in how many points you have and the gap that you still need to close before maintaining or moving up to the next level. No more questions I can see, so let's quickly continue to the VMware Achievers program. So the VMware Achievers program, if you look at how it used to be, you get an upfront discount when you got a quote from us, depending on if you have a deal registration, if you're incumbent, depending on the SKU, on the quantity. Based on a number of factors, you get a certain discount. With a deferred discount model, with the hybrid discount model or the hybrid margin model, you will not only get, if eligible, an upfront discount, but you will also get a deferred discount. A deferred discount that is based on 2 main topics, a payout, so actually a sort of rebate, if you want to call it like that, and some activity-based claims reimbursement. So the possibility for you as a reseller, as a partner, to organize certain events, certain lead generations, to do webinars or whatever, and get some money to be able to do that. Next slide, please, Ruben. So not everything is qualified to be in that deferred margin model. So there are some things that are included, some things that are excluded. For example, going on customer segment, it's only for commercial accounts. So it's not for strategic and corporate. It's only for new capacity and migration deals transaction type. So not SKU for SKU renewals. If a customer has is already in the subscription-based program and he just renews his existing installed base, he's staying with the same SKU with the same amount, it's excluded from the program. It's only for certain products. So it's only for VCF and VVF, all the add-on, and then the application network and security products, Tanzu and so on. So it's not for vSphere Standard and Enterprise Plus, also not for Velo Cloud, Hyperscaler Marketplace, and so on. And it's only for Pinnacle and Premier partners. And that's, I already mentioned that in the slide with the pyramid. So today it's not for select and registered partners. It's only for the two highest partner levels. Okay, Ruben. What does it actually mean? So for those eligible partners and those eligible SKUs and other requirements, if those are fulfilled, a Premier and a Pinnacle partner gets a certain amount, a certain percentage paid out in a rebate plan between 4 and 5%. And the ABC program, so the activity-based claims for doing marketing actions or lead generation, is proposal-based. So it's not like you get a blanco check to do things. No, you of course need to ask for permission. It's part of your business plan actually, that you've drafted up with your PBM or with your account director. And based on the approval from Broadcom, you will get some funding to be able to do that, and you can do those activities. Next, Ruben. As you all know, the VMware price book, you can find it on the partner portal. I have put the QR code in the right side for people who don't know the way. So there's a new one published on February the 3rd with all the new SKUs and all the new prices. Prices are, of course, in MSRP. Okay, next slide. Talking about MSRP, so MSRP stands for Manufacturer's Suggested Retail Price. The keyword here is suggested. We get a lot of questions from our partners, especially those quotes that we quote on MSRP prices or on very low discounted prices. I'm unable to sell this because it's in the list price. It's in the MSRP price. You're totally fine to do whatever you want with that price. So if you want to add your margin on top of that, you're perfectly fine to do that. And in fact, we actually encourage you to do that, to add your own margin on top of that, to go above that MSRP price. ABV already mentioned. One other thing I would like to explain is EAR, expiring annual revenue, because it's something or it's a word that you will probably hear more often. When you get quotes, that a certain quote, you get a lower discount because the quote is below EAR. And that's something that Broadcom does not really like. Broadcom will try everything to be above that expiring annual revenue. And how will they do that? To give you, for example, to give a lower discount, to have a dialogue with the customer and make the customer feel the added value or see the added value in moving from a certain SKU to another SKU, moving to VVF or VCF, for example. So typically when you get a quote with lower discounts and you hear EAR, then you know that it's because the quote was below EAR, and that's something that Broadcom is not in favor of doing. There's a lot of assets available on the partner program, on the partner portal, sorry, regarding the Achievers program. Everything can be found through the partner portal, but I've added the QR code so you can get there easier. No, still no questions, meaning that everything is clear, I hope. Some words on deal registrations. So there is, as I already explained, deal registrations are available for select Premier and Pinnacle tiers, so not for registered. It's for commercial segment only. And there are a number of prereqs, net new customers, new products, as already explained, SKU for SKU renewals and stuff. Those are typically within the incumbency, so we'll touch on that later. But there is a big difference between how deal registrations are handled today compared to how it was in the past. So if you go to the next slide, Ruben. So for who, as I already mentioned, select Premier and Pinnacle, commercial account, minimum deal size of 10,000 USD, MSRP. For VVF and VCF, I know that in certain slides it's also mentioned that you could get a deal registration for example, Enterprise Plus. But we've noticed from a practical point of view that typically Broadcom will not allow a deal registration on those products. So typically it will only be for VVF and VCF. New deal registration, so net new customer, net new products, migrating to a new offering or SKU. So for example, if a customer is moving from VVF to VCF or from Enterprise Plus to VVF, those are migration to a new offering or SKU. And of course, capacity and expansion. If customer wants to add more cores, then it's also eligible for new deal registration. What do you get in return? 10% on MSRP. So if you know that today the discounts that are given by Broadcom are rather on the low side, 10% is actually a big discount that you can get for deal registration. So I would encourage, if you're able to do a deal registration, always try to do a deal registration. Next slide. No. Back one. Yeah. So some other nitty-gritty details. It used to be that first one in got approved. That's no longer the case. Today, a deal registration, the most important is the value that you can bring to the table. Value being solution complexity, service capability, customer engagement, and customer success. For example, I already touched on the Knights program. Something that Broadcom will look upon is, of course, the capability of the partner to execute. So if there are Knights within your organization, that's a big plus, because that means that you have invested a lot of time and resources in achieving that. So that will count heavily on being rewarded with the deal registration. It's not only that, I'm just giving an example. So you don't need to have Knights within your company. Just giving an example what could potentially help in getting deal registration. But also customer engagement. If you can prove that you've been in talks with the customers for a long time, that you've done sessions, meetings, trying to convince the customer, really engaging with the customer, evangelizing VCF or VVF, that will definitely also count towards being approved for a deal registration. Important topic, don't forget to specify your preferred distributor, data SYNNEX, of course, when you fill in the deal registration. And what's the difference between a deal registration and incumbency protection? Incumbency protection is only valid for true like-for-like renewals of an existing subscription in amount and in SKU. So if it's not the same amount, if it's not the same SKU, then it's not eligible for incumbency protection. Next. Still no questions. Small update on the solution bundles. So there's a new kit on the block called Enterprise Plus. Just to give you some insight on what the difference is between Standard and Enterprise Plus. So we had to say goodbye to Essentials and Essentials Plus. We got Enterprise Plus in return, and it sits between standard and VVF. And what are the big differentiators between standard and Enterprise Plus? I've listed them here, so I will just touch on some distributed switches, for example, distributed power management, high availability, NVIDIA Grid Virtual GPU, fault tolerance up to 8 vCPUs, and so on. So there are definitely some cases where you would go for Enterprise Plus and not for standard. Now, trying to give you that small extra push towards, for example, VVF, we've noticed in several cases that because Enterprise Plus is not really that being promoted by Broadcom itself. So what we did notice is that you get a higher discount in VVF and in Enterprise Plus in certain cases, making VVF actually cheaper than Enterprise Plus. So in certain cases, I would definitely, especially if we're talking about multi-year deals, I would definitely also consider asking a quote for VVF, because you never know. Especially when we're talking about deal registration. I already mentioned you will get a deal registration for VVF, but you won't get a deal registration for Enterprise Plus. And that's already a 10% additional advantage that you get. So definitely something to take into account. Next slide, please, Ruben. So if you look at the primary offerings, the four main bundles, we still have the VMware Cloud Foundation, the VCF, the vSphere Foundation, VVF, the vSphere Standard, and then sitting in between the Standard and VVF, the Enterprise Plus that I just touched upon. Next slide. Yeah, it is just a comparison between the four bundles, vSphere Standard, Enterprise Plus, and vSphere Foundation. So there's, of course, still actually a quite significant added value of vSphere Foundation compared to Enterprise Plus. There's a nice document you can download from the VMware Partner Portal explaining those three. I will add a link to the mail that we send out, so you can have a look at that as well. Next one, please, Ruben. Talking about education and certification, also quite some changes on that side. So the education and certification has been divided in 3 stages, actually. And when you look at the old certifications track, like for example, VSP, SO, VMware, Sales Professional, or VCP, VCAP, and so on, those are part of stage 2. So you don't have them in Sales 1. What's also different compared to what it used to be at VMware, and what I think is actually a big plus, is that most of the training is available for free online. So you can just go to the Education Partner Portal and follow those trainings. You don't need to pay something. It's free for every partner, actually. And then another important change that they've pushed through is that you don't need to have any course requirements. So you can sit through an exam without following any course. Now, that doesn't mean that the exams are that easy. I would definitely recommend to prepare you in advance. You will need to put some significant time and effort in achieving a certification. But it used to be within VMware time that you first needed to follow certain courses before you were able to do an exam. That is no longer the case. And another thing that they add is that for most of the tracks, there is also something called, no, it's not something called, it's that you will need to prove that you're actually able to do something. So being that you record yourself while giving, for example, a sales pitch on VCF, but you need to prove to Broadcom that you're in fact able to do that before you get a certain certification. Next slide. Some words on the Broadcom Software Night program. As already mentioned, it's not for everybody because you will need to put some serious time and effort in it. But it's really it's the best of the best. It boils down to that. It's for those individuals, those technical champions that have proven to be able to sell and implement VCF, for example. It's an invitation-only program, so you can only join that if you get an invitation. You will require a Broadcom sponsor, And it's although it's an individual certification, you need to be, of course, part of a partner organization. For example, a Pinnacle partner or a Premier partner. One of the things is that you will need to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, just because you will really be part of the Broadcom organization. Well, not really part, but you will get a lot of information that only those knights will be able to access. So it's definitely something that if you have the people, if you have the resources to do that, talk to your account director if you think you should be a good candidate, and see if you can get that invitation. Next slide. Portals and dashboards. So I think that everyone agrees that when we shifted from VMware to Broadcom, we lost a bit of insight in certain topics and in certain progress stuff. So I'm actually really delighted that Broadcom is closing that gap. Not only for sales activities, for example, the VMware renewal dashboard, where you have an insight in all the end customers that have transacted to you when their licenses are up for renewal, but also, for example, on the enablement dashboard, a single pane of glass for your certification tracking. Some other dashboards. Next slide, please, Ruben. Solution provider dashboard, where you get, for example, an insight in your deferred discount payout. If you're a Pinnacle or Premier partner, how much money will I get paid? What are the status of my activity-based claims, and so on. And of course, the points-based leveling dashboard, where you get an insight on your current partner level, how far you are with the booking points, the service points, the certification points, the gaps that you still need to close, the progression tiers toward the next fiscal year. But I'm not mistaken, this is still not there. It will probably be available end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. So don't be alarmed if you log into the partner portal and it's not there yet. Next slide. And that brings me to the end of the slide deck. So if there are any questions, please shoot. No more questions, I think. So, or I was very clear, or everyone has fallen asleep. Let's hope for the first. Regardless, if you have any questions after these sessions, you all know me. Feel free to reach out, send me an email, send me a Teams message, or anyone within the organization. Oh, there's one question. Will points for licenses bought via Omnissa count towards partner level? So Chris, I presume you're referring to if you buy the VMware licenses for the Omnissa stack, then those will not count towards the partner level, as far as I know. I don't know if Camelia or Bogdan have any insight on that.
Yes, so anything linked to Omnissa is no longer linked to Broadcom anymore. As you already know, Omnissa is a separate company, so any of their product will not count toward the Broadcom or VMware by Broadcom partner program.
Yeah, you get, depending on the SKU, if I'm not mistaken, Omnissa has two different license models. A license model combining the VMware licenses and kind of bring your own VMware licenses model. So if you get your VMware licenses through Omnissa, then it will not count. If you, of course, buy them separately through Broadcom, then they will count towards the program. Does that answer your question, Chris? Okay, super. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining. Oh, there's another question. So to get to the select partnership, vSphere standard licenses are not included in the points requirements.
I'll take that one, Marnix. So vSphere standard license do count, because when we were mentioning the slide about the points calculation, you'll see VCF, and VCF stands for VCF BU. So VCF business unit, that would include all the bundles within the VCF BU, that is vSphere, Standard, Enterprise, Plus, VCF and VVF, as well as the add-ons. So yes, it will count.
I think the misconception lies in the fact that in the Achievers program, Standard does not count. Standard and Enterprise Plus does not count. But in achieving partner level status, everything is included actually within the
Yes.
VCF business unit. Will renewal licenses count for the partner level?
Yes,
Yes.
they will.
Yes. Going once, going twice. Okay, then I thank everybody for joining this session. I thank Bogdan and Camilla for helping me in answering the questions. We will send a link with the recording and the slide deck to everyone that attended. And in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out if there are other things you would like to discuss. Enjoy the rest of the evening, or the rest of the day. And speak to you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.